What's up, guys? Nethervvoid here with another strategy series for you. I know I haven't done one of these in a while, or tank guide, depending on how you want to look at this. But anyway, this one's on the E-50. You guys been waiting a long time for this. This is a really awesome tank. I love driving it. It looks, well, obviously it looks awesome, but also it has pretty good mobility, which is kind of a weird thing if you've been coming up the German medium line. They typically, after about tier, well, 7, right when you hit the Panther, the mobility on it kind of goes down a little bit. Not so much the speed, really, but the traverse is pretty bad. But the E-50 starts to make up for that. It has really nice traverse. So basically, the way you're going to drive this tank is you're going to drive it as a flanker, but also you have some armor. You're slightly less mobile flanker than like a Russian medium tank, but you're definitely going to flank with this and basically put the enemy in a bad position compared to your heavy tanks or whoever happens to be on the other side of this sandwich equation, this pincer moves you're going to be doing on people. That's pretty much how you're going to play this tank. Also, this is one of the tanks in the game that has special ramming capabilities, and that's because it has such nice top speed, 60-mile-an-hour speed limit, kilometers per hour speed limit, but with a 64-ton weight behind it, and that makes it a great rammer. And so if you love ramming, this is going to be the tank for you. And actually, I would advise ramming as much as possible because you won't take that much damage, and the enemy will take a significant amount. I've seen times where I've hit with my gun and got 390 damage, and then also rammed for another 200 or 300 damage. If you're going downhill, it's going to be 400 or 500 damage. So it's very significant damage. So that's another way you're going to play this tank. You're going to be very aggressive with it, which is, again, if you've been playing the Panthers, especially the Panther 1, not so much the Panther 2, you can be a little more aggressive with it, but this is a much different play style than the Panther 1 or 2. It's still not a full balls out aggressive tank like the Russians, but you have to be much more aggressive with it, especially if you want to get the full force of this tank with the ramming. That means obviously you're going to have to be in people's face or you're not going to be able to ram them. So, but you'll still have the accuracy with the gun. So I really love this tank. If you've been kind of grinding through the Panther line and you don't really like it, you'll probably like the E-50. I heard the E-50M is much more the same, but even better mobility. So I'm really looking forward to that. So let's talk a little bit about statistics now that we've gone over this tank a little bit. Let me try to, okay, here we go, now we can see it. 750 hit points. Generally, the Germans have a little bit higher hit points than a lot of the other guys just because they are a little bit slower and they have some more disadvantages usually. Like if you get hit in the front, that's where the transmission is, so you can get caught on fire, which no other tanks in the game have that. So they have a little bit of extra hit points to make up for it, but it doesn't really matter because it's like an extra 100 or something. It's not a big deal. 65 tons, that's a lot for a medium tank. That's why you can ram people and just jack them up. 1200 horsepower engine is definitely required to push 65 tons. That's almost a 20-to-1 power to weight ratio, and that's why I was saying this thing has great mobility. So 60-mile-an-hour speed limit, definitely no problems. Probably downhill, though. You're not going to really see that going on flat ground. 26 traverse plus 30 turret traverse. That's where there's still an issue with German mediums. That's only 56 traverse, which is more like a heavy tank. So not that great on the traverse. But the mobility is still great. But again, if you've been playing the Panthers, you're used to that traverse anyway. But you're kind of not going to be able to circle people that well. So be careful with that. 400-meter view range, really nice. 710 signal meter radio, that's pretty standard. Let's talk about weak spots now before we start talking about equipment, or I mean modules. So the weak spots on this tank are the lower plate, which is the size of Texas or France, if you want to, or whatever large country, Russia. The lower plate is almost bigger than the upper plate. It's probably a mirror image, so it's horrible, and it's pretty weak right there. We didn't talk about the armor, and let's go over that real quick. 120 on the front. Really bad. You're going to get shot right through. I mean, it doesn't even have an angle, really. There's a slight angle, so you can pretty much get penned right through oh, I'm sorry, the turret armor is 185. Pretty decent armor. Still pretty easy to pen as far as I'm concerned. 120 on the top plate. You might think, wow, that's really nothing, but look at that steep angle. It's pretty good armor. For medium, for the medium lines, this is one of the most armored medium line. Well, this is the most armored medium line out there, as far as I know. Correct me if that's wrong. So 120 on the hull, really nice because of the angle. You will get lots of ricochets and stuff and dings. 185 on that hull, on that turret. It's decent. It's kind of flat, so you can still get penned by tier 10 guns and stuff like that. Can go right through that. It's not that big a deal for them. 80 on the sides and the back. You're going to get shot if you're getting flanked. So you need to keep that front armor toward your enemy and angled a little bit, maybe side scraping just like that or something like that, and hide this weak spot right there. So anyway, back to weak spots. So if you have to shoot this thing in the front, shoot at the lower plate. If he's smart and he's hold down and he's hiding that, which he might have a little berm right here, and so you can't see it, you can shoot right there in the rangefinders. That's a very weak spot, and it's kind of flattened out right there. You won't get a ricochet off the side, or the kind of large cupola right here, like a lot of the German tanks have. I've found that even at 300 and 400 meters, I'm having pretty easy times hitting cupolas on almost every tank now. So I usually just start shooting for cupolas. That's usually what I do. So those are the weak parts of the tank and how the armor lays out. Let's go over some modules here. You should have this FUG 12 since like forever, so just throw it right on. 710 meter range, you're never going to have a problem. The tracks are actually going to be your first upgrade because 64 tons is not enough to put these other modules on, so you're going to have to upgrade that right away. We'll talk about that a little later on research, but you do get a slight upgrade in degrees per second, and you probably also get a hidden soft ground increase to mobility, which will be nice. You should now, if you have the Panther 2, you should have this second engine right here. So throw it on 870. It's gonna feel kind of sluggish because now you're talking about 12 to 14 to 1 power to weight ratio. Not really gonna cut it. If you have the E-75, which I do, this engine is shared between the E-50 and E-75. It was part of the German push toward the end of the war, which actually never made it in, but it was in the blueprints to share parts between tanks. So this engine was shared between the E-75 and the E-50. So I already had the E-75, so luckily I already had this unlocked. I could throw it on right away, and I had great mobility right from the start. If you don't have the E-75, you're going to have to slug through this crappy engine. It's going to feel a lot like a Panther 2 or Panther 1, so just when you start out, snipe with it. You might not be able to get flank maneuvers. Get into a flank position and snipe from that position. You probably won't be able to go head-to-head right away. It's going to, your mileage may vary. The turret, it's going to be an obvious weak point. Look at that, 120 millimeters on the turret there. Let's downgrade this gun so I can show you what it looks like. I think it looks pretty much the same though. Yeah, it's really hard to tell from the front if it's the non-upgraded turret or not. I wonder if you can tell from the plate. Well, you won't be able to get that close enough to see anyway. You can tell from the back, but that's not going to really help, see? So it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you have a tier 10 guns, you're going to go right through either of these turrets. So it's a medium tank, right? Yeah, you can really not tell the difference. So it's a nice upgrade to armor, though. Again, this is a very armored medium tank. I get lots of bounces on this thing. It allows you to take chances, but also it's a little bit more forgiving than, say, a Russian tank. You're going to get nailed in a Russian tank no matter what. Well, they do have pretty hardcore turrets, but their upper and lower plates are pretty weak. There's always really easy ways to hit those guys. So guns, you should have this long 88 unlocked. Throw it on right away. I don't think you're going to have... Yes, you will have also the 100 right here. I prefer the long 88 just because I like to get a little bit heavier shots, and also I don't think 135 damage will be enough to break all people's tracks. I'm not really sure how that works, but I'm not sure if that's enough damage, and I don't want to have to shoot twice. I like the little bit heavier alpha right here with the long 88. You're going to unlock eventually this long 10 to go, at least I think that's the long 10. Yeah, that's... Let's just look at the tech tree here. If we look at Germans, and we look at the E-75, it should have long 10, right? Yeah, here's the long 10. So it has 320 damage. So 320 damage. That's pretty horrible. I think this thing has more than 320. So this is actually better than the long 10, which is interesting. I thought it had less damage than that. So 390 damage is pretty nice. Now you might be saying, well, this looks like since it has 9 rounds per minute, it looks like it's a lot better, right? It's got 50% more reload. But I worked out the DPM, and this long 10 actually has 150 more damage per minute than this L100. So you're definitely going to want to get it. But it doesn't really matter, because if you look at the research tree, it goes off on the side anyway. So the L100 is kind of a specialty gun. It's not very good. It does have a nice reload speed, but you lose almost 10% DPM by using it. So I wouldn't use it. I don't suggest it. So that is all the modules. Let's talk about research now. This is the E-50 tech tree. Now, as you can see, you should have the FUG 12. You should at least have the secondary engine here. You won't have the tracks as usual without every tank. If you have the E-75, you're going to have this engine unlocked like I do. You will also have these 3 guns unlocked already. So what we're going to be working on here is the engine is really paramount. So if you don't have that, you're going to work on the engine first. You will be able to put it on because it doesn't really weigh any different than the previous engine, but it's going to get you that mobility you're going to need as a medium tank. So I would grind out the engine first. I know it's a lot at 50,000. I think they're just kind of trolling you. You have to get it. There's really no way around it. Now, if you want to load this turret, and then obviously to get the long 10, you're going to need the tracks next. So you're going to get the engine, then the tracks, then you're going to get this turret, then you're going to get the long 10. Now, you can get this upgraded L100 before you get these other combinations, and actually you don't need the tracks either, but that's another 43,000. So I decided to instead skip that, because that is the tracks and the turret. So instead of grinding this L100, I went for the engine, and I can get the tracks and the turret for the same cost as this upgraded gun. So I just didn't feel like it was worth it. And then I just went straight for the long 10. Now I'm going to go back and unlock this because I want to elite this whole thing. So I'll unlock that last, and then I'll go straight for the E-50, and that's the whole tech tree. Alright, we're back from research. Now let's go over the equipment. This is standard equipment for almost all my tanks: vent, rammer, and vert stab. Ventilation increases by 5% all your crew skills, so it basically makes your whole tank 5% better at everything. Traverse, top speed, reload speed, everything. It's awesome. 10% to reduced reload speed, awesome. You're reloading 10% faster. Do it. Put that thing in. It's awesome. Combined with vents, it really helps your reload speed. So it's kind of an obvious choice for almost every tank. I put it on every tank. The vert stab is always a good choice if you're going to be flanking or moving a lot, because it keeps your reticle 20% smaller, even on the move and stuff. So I really put it on every tank, even my heavy tanks. So it's great to have. It's, again, standard equipment for me. Your shells, I do it like this. I'm putting 4 HE shells until I get probably up to the 260 or higher pen mark. Then I might just put 2 HE shells, and I really only use these HE shells to reset caps. Otherwise, I'm just shooting AP all the time, because this thing has pretty decent pen, especially when you're shooting people from the side or the back like you should be. It's no problem. I don't like using gold shells because I think it takes skill out of the game. With gold shells, I don't need to flank, so yeah, that's why I don't use them. Also, I already have a hard enough time making money to buy new tanks, so this basically alleviates that need to grind out even more cash to unlock bigger tanks. That's why my garage looks like it does. I don't buy credits with gold. I only grind them out. So I still have tier 9s and 10s that I bought by myself. The only thing with some of the tier 10s, I have bought credits just because I was under a crunch and I really needed to do it for a sale or something. But generally, I don't do it. And a lot of that's because I don't use gold shells. But anyway, that's a soapbox. So standard rack of consumables here. Nothing new right there. I don't use the gold ones again because I'm trying to save money. The fire extinguisher might be necessary. Well, you might think it's necessary, the upgraded fire extinguisher, because it does have a bonus to not like a reduced chance of fire at all times, even when you're not using it. And you might need that because if it does get shot through the front, it can catch on fire, and that's going to hurt really bad. The only thing is it automatically goes off if you catch on fire. So it's like you don't use it. It doesn't cost you anything until it automatically gets used by the game when you get set on fire. So you can't stop it from being used. You can't just throw it on there and never use it. And I wouldn't do that anyway, but it's going to cost you a little extra when you use that thing. Again, I don't do it because I'm fine with just a regular one. Crew skills. You're seeing my first and secondaries here, like how I do. This is how I do it on every tank. I start out with Mentor and all repair on all my tanks. That's because Mentor increases the crew training speed by 10% for the rest of my crew. And then what happens is once I've elited the tank, the commander will get the bonus because he's usually lagging behind everybody else, as you can see he is right here. And so he'll always have a bonus to his training. And so everybody pretty much has a 10% bonus at that point. To me, that's worth it. I like to train my crew skills up fast. I don't play one tank I don't grind on tanks even after they're elited a lot of the time. I usually rank them up and play other tanks. And when they're ranked 10, a lot of times, or tier 10, a lot of times they just gather dust and I'm doing something else because I like to unlock tanks. It's kind of my thing. So that's why I like to train my crew faster. Once I have these guys all the way up to 100%, I flip it over, actually about 120% because you're going to lose a little bit by retraining them. I'll go into their profile. Here, let's look at one of these guys' profile. And I'll drop the skill at about 120% on my whole crew and pick up Brothers in Arms. What Brothers in Arms does adds 2.2% to your whole tank, kind of like a half of a vent, and so it makes your whole tank better. Spotting, again, traverse, everything. And so I think it's worth it. People have done studies to say that Brothers in Arms is better than any other singular perk or skill you could get for your other guys, the specialty perks and skills. So this is how I do it. Now, when I get my third unlock, what I'm going to do is, for the commander, I'm going to retrain him away from Mentor again and pick up Sixth Sense, which will allow me to know if I'm being spotted. So if you're moving up to try to spot a little bit and you don't know what's out there, Sixth Sense will tell you, hey, somebody sees you, there is somebody over here. It's a very valuable skill. And then I'll pick up Mentor again, and I'll just keep training it on and on and on and on. For my third skill for the gunner, I'm going to get Snapshot, and that'll just add a little bit. It's like a mini vert stab a little bit. It's going to help my reticle even more. So I get Snapshot with my gunner. For my driver, I'm gonna get what is it called here? Hold on a second. Controlled Impact. And again, I would never usually get this, but the E-50 is all about ramming people. So Controlled Impact will give them 15% more damage on ramming and 15% less damage when you get rammed. So I think that's a really great skill to get. Again, that is not a perk, that's a skill, so it runs off of a percentage just like repair and stuff. This is a perk. It has to be at 100% to be active, and all your people have to have it for Brother in Arms. And again, the Sixth Sense is a perk. It must be at 100%. That's why I swapped these two out. But Snapshot is a skill. It means it's active before 100%. It just kind of has a scale. The same thing for Controlled Impact. For my radio operator, I'm going to get Situational Awareness, which will give me a plus 3% to my view range. It's going to help me spot people, especially people that are behind bushes that have, it'll be harder for me to spot them. And for my loader, I'm going to get safe stowage because I want to be a little bit more on the safe side about getting hit in my ammo rack. It adds 12.5% to your ammo rack. It's kind of like a mini wet ammo rack a little bit. So it's obviously not as good at all, but it's also a perk, so it's only active at 100%. Once I get repair to 100%, I'll drop repair and pick it up as my third. And then I'll put this thing as a safe stowage as my secondary skill right there. So that's pretty much how I'm going to do my crew. Now that we know everything about this tank, let's get into a couple battles and let's show you what this thing can do. Time to roll out. The first game I'm going to show you is a game I had on Wide Park. And what you're going to want to do, I'm just going to talk about this right away, is if you're in a pretty fast tank on Wide Park, you're going to want to drive up to this ridge that I'm driving up here and spot as many people as you can to get the first spot for your team. It's going to get you a lot of extra credits and XP. So you just have to be kind of careful. So just pop over like I'm doing here, get your cupola over, and spot some people. So I at least spotted 2 or 3 guys right there. Just have to be kind of careful. People speed up to this ridge really fast. So you can see there's going to be competition for this, so get there as quick as you can, and then you can kind of do whatever you want. But you know, you can see this guy right here. Now here's what I should not have done, is pop out and try to shoot that guy. Too many people over there, don't do it. I could have been dead. That's how many tanks are over there ready to shoot at me. So I wanted to show you a game with the long 88 versus the long 10.5. There is no difference here in engine. I do have the the highest upgraded engine, but that's because I already had the E-75. So I'm running the 1200 horsepower engine here. So you can see when the mobility is pretty good. And the turret traverse is decent as well. The traverse isn't bad. It's just not, it's not really fast. There's a lot of upper tier Russian mediums who have 90 to 100 degrees per second on their traverse, total traverse, which is ridiculous. In fact, some Russian heavies have better traverse than the E-50. So you cannot circle them. Like the IS-3 and IS-8 come to mind. I'm not sure about the IS-7. It has pretty good traverse as well. I'm kind of not in a good spot right here. I'm being flanked, basically pincered. So I'm going to go after the guy that's flanking me. So here I'm going to ram this guy. Didn't do much damage. 145 is still a lot, but I wasn't moving very fast. So that's probably one of the smaller rams you'll see, 150 extra damage. So it's definitely worth it to ram someone. I had to get that guy killed and get out of there as quick as I could. When you get in a bad spot like that, I tried to do a flank move, and then I got flanked and outmaneuvered. Obviously, obvious shot here at Artie. So you can see, if I had the top gun, that would have been a one-shot kill. That's another reason why it's really good to go after that long 10.5. With this, he knew I was there, and now I have to take a second shot, and I get lucky here and kill him. But normally, you probably wouldn't make that shot. So that's another reason I like the 10.5 a little bit better. It's a lot easier to kill Artie when, you know, one hit. So again, now, when you do these flank moves, so what I'm really doing is getting in here to screw the enemy up. But you're going to take some damage when you do it. It's a calculated risk. So think, okay, what kind of hit points am I at? How much damage do I think I'm going to take? Just kind of check out the mini-map real quick. If you can even see enemy, because there's probably going to be some enemy you can't see. And then make that calculated risk on if your team's going to benefit greatly by flanking. And usually they will if nobody's behind the enemy already. Because once you get behind the enemy and make a pincer move on them, the enemy starts freaking out. There's multiple fronts. It's all bad news for the enemy. And usually you guys will come out on top. And even the most retarded teammates are going to be damaging the enemy once they turn around and try to hit you. Now, what you have to remember when you do a move like that is to not put yourself in jeopardy if you don't have to. The whole point of that move is to either kill the enemy if they're not going to look at you, or if they do look at you or try to chase you down, for you to get out of there. Don't just sit there and get killed. The point is not to die. If they're going to turn all the way around to shoot at you, it means the 3 or 4 of your buddies that are the front line are now shooting at his back. So just wait till they take him out. You know, you're going to get spot damage for that anyway. Spot damage, and that means you're going to get credits and XP for all the damage they're doing. So that's how I flank. And that's a really great way to just destroy an enemy team. I see people do it all the time, so definitely do it. Right here, don't drive through the cap. This is another bad thing that I did, because it lets the enemy know exactly where you are. Especially when I'm trying to chase down this Artie, it lets him know, okay, he's coming through the cap, he's out of the cap, I know where he is, right? Again, the long 10 would have killed him. Now I'm risking my life right here to kill this guy because I have to hit him twice. And boom, he's dead. So again, just kind of see, now you can see the difference between the long 88 and the long 10. Now, I was going to go that way because I thought this was a dead end, but it wasn't. Probably should have kept going that way. Now, again, I'm flanking, especially TDs. These TDs are pretty strong from the front, but from the back, no thanks. Again, the long 10 would have killed this guy already in one shot. So having that extra 100 damage, it's pretty... more than you would think, it adds a lot. Actually, it's more than 100. I think it's 150. Yeah, it's 150 extra damage. It adds up very quick. I mean, it makes a big difference. So, 5 kills in this game. Really nice game showing you how to flank and stuff. Let's get another one. So, this game on highway here, now, you're not going to be able to flank on every map. Every map is a little different. So, in this one, I'm sitting around a little bit. I come out of it now, but a lot of times I'll sit and wait to see where teams go and see what kind of flank opportunities I will actually get when I go with a certain push. So I'm going to go city here, but you can also go north and then drive down the 1-2 line like that T-54 is doing with pretty good success with a quick medium like this. Especially with an E-50, you can ram people when you're coming downhill over on those hills. That's a really good direction to go. But this time I'm just going to go city. Felt like going city. You aren't going to always get the same opportunities to flank on every map, but try to look at when always be looking out for when those opportunities can happen. Now, as a medium, I don't want to go in first, especially in the city. I expect to see other heavies in the city, so I'm going to let the heavies go first. So this game, I have the 10.5. Let's look at the difference in pen here and damage. 390 damage. The damage is a lot higher. The pen is only 10% more than what you got on the long 88. So not really a lot more pen, just a lot more damage. A little bit slower reload, obviously, but packing that extra punch really helps a lot. So here I'm just kind of waiting for people to move up. I don't know what I was doing. Was I hopping up to get a drink or something? I think I'm waiting for people to pop out. You can also snipe with this gun. It's very accurate. So you can sit back and snipe if you feel like that's the best thing to do on that map. Like, some maps don't have any real flanking areas. Pretty much they are just gorges and you have to drive right through the center. So, you know, I guess good luck with that. Lorraine 40-ton, that's now a tier 9 on the medium line. It's been that way for a while, actually. So I don't know what I'm doing hanging back this far. I usually would not do this. This line that I'm on is usually where the heavies go. Even that's why that super Pershing is doing it. People with a lot of armor in the front, generally. But I am going to flank soon where you should be flanking in this map. I'll show you the couple of areas where you should go. So I'm doing some side scraping off this super Pershing, actually. You don't have to do it on a building. You can use anything. I get hit right there from Artie, I think. Yeah, see, top of the turret right there. So you always have to be wary of Artie. So now I'm... Oh, not destructible. Now I'm going to flank through the middle of the city right here. It's a great way to get around on people. Remember, as a higher tier medium, your job is to figure out ways to get behind the enemy and make the heavy tanks' lives easier, because that will help you get the win. It's almost more important than the heavy tanks. Heavy tanks' job, they can't change. They can't really change as much of the game as you can as a medium with good maneuvering. So here I rammed the guy for another 121. Again, not really top speed, not going down a hill or anything. Shoot him, track him, and I'm going to drive behind him now that he can't keep up with his traverse. I do get hit right in the back by, I think, a TD, and he's dead. So good circling. If you're going to try to circle someone in this tank, take out their track. What is this? I think it's a 30, right? No, it's a Yog 2. He's dead. This gun's going to go through anything the Yog 2 has, no matter what. Side shots on an E-75 for the kill. Boom! Anytime you can take an E-75 out, do it. So I flanked 2 tanks right here. I flanked the IS-8. Then that put me into the position. I don't know why the heavy tanks aren't moving up. There's really almost nobody to shoot at. Put me in a position to get a flank shot into that E-75 as well. That pretty much helped us secure the city. I mean, I'm not the only one, wasn't the only one doing anything, but that move basically took out the IS-8 for sure and helped take out that E-75, because they can pretty much be cockroaches if you're trying to kill them from the front. So now it's a victory lap. This is where if you can ram someone coming downhill like this, as you can see I'm getting up into 50 kilometers per hour, that's when you're going to hit them for 300 or 400. I'm doing some serpentine because if Artie is spotting us right now, I don't want to be predictable as to where I'm going to be. You don't want to get hit by a shell in a medium, because if you do, you're stupid. Like I was in the city, not protecting myself. So you really have no excuses for getting hit by Artie in a medium if you're going at these speeds. So coming up on the enemy cap here, we've still got our base intact, so we're not too worried about going north. This is why I didn't go back to defend base or anything. I mean, look at our base. We got 3 dudes in the base. Yog Tiger's moving out because he's bored, and we have also our Artie there, so we're fine. Trying to spot Artie, okay, there's one, without dying, sometimes can be really a challenge. So remember what I said last time? Boom! The long 10 gets the one-shot kill on the Artie here. I think that guy was a tier 5. So the next guy up's oh no, I don't think I shoot at the arty in the next one. Let me see if I do or not. I can't remember. So tier 6, the G-Dub Panther. Nope, no shot on that guy. Where's the other guy? Where's the Panther? There he is. 350. Again, I would have had to take 2 shots. Boom! The long 10 does it in 1. Another 5-kill game so far. Just trying to stay alive. I'm really pretty low at 570, especially going up against an autoloader. A tier 9 autoloader. He could easily take me out. 2 shots, I'd be dead. So here he is. It's a 120 French autoloader. Boom! Now I'm gonna get to some cover, even though he's the last tank. There's no point in dying, right? It's just gonna cost you more. So I'm loaded. Boom! And a track. I think he's aiming at me at this point, so I decided to get behind this barn. Maybe do some side scraping. I'm reloaded and try to get. Oh! A few damage away from getting the top gun. Isn't that my luck? 2 5-kill games in a row. Anyway, the E-50 is an awesome tank. Remember to ram with it. Remember to flank and pincer every chance you get. Never stop moving in an open field is what you don't want to. Is definitely what you want to do with a medium. And it's a really awesome tank. It's definitely worth the grind through the Panther and the Panther 2. And I heard the E-50M is even better, so I really can't wait to get that. So let me know what you think about the E-50M. See you later, guys.